Probably not, no. But
No further questions.
Thank you, Rob.
Just briefly, Mr. Hall, Mr. Neiman asked you about a gravity bong
yeah,
at the fraternity house. You didn't bring the gravity bong to the fraternity house, did you?
no.
You described it, I mean, as like a makeshift plastic bottle or something? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, correct.
Okay. Chandler didn't bring a gravity bong there, did he?
No. It was already there.
It was up in a room in the fraternity house, right?
Yeah.
Now, today, you have been asked about wine on the beach. And I just want you to do your best to remember.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Yeah.
And if you don't remember, you just don't remember.
Yeah.
I asked you if it was one bottle, and you said it was one bottle. Mr. Neiman asked you if it was two bottles. You said, well, maybe it was two. I think it was two. I mean, do you remember
Well,
today if it was one? Do you remember today if it was one or two? That's all I'm asking.
At first I thought it was one because there was one that me and Chandler were split between each other. But then when he said two, I remembered that we bought a second one for Alex. Or like that, like, because the one bottle was split between, actually, the one bottle was split between Alex and Chandler, and then there's one bottle for me, yes.
Okay. And again, I just want,
Yeah.
just want what you remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so your testimony is Alex and Chandler split a bottle and then you had a bottle.
Yeah.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, Rob. Sir?
And you were the only one who wasn't driving that day?
Yes. Because I didn't have my car down there.
Okay, no further.
Thank you, Beth.
No, sir.
Thanks, sir. You stand there. Brother Evans, stay.
Joe Lopez.
I do.
Sir, please state your name for the record.
Joseph Philip Lopez,
And could you spell your name?
Joseph Philiplopez.
Okay. What do you do?
I'm a student at UNC. I study biology, and I'm a chemistry minor and a business minor.
Okay. You don't have to give the exact address, but where do you lay your head most days?
I live at the SIGEP house.
Okay. Are you a member of that fraternity?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Okay. So you are admitted to Chapel Hill as an out-of-state student.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the defendant?
Yeah.
How do you know?
We were in the same fraternity, And I met him when I joined in the fall and he joined in the spring. So I met him when we were recruiting him.
Okay. So, when he joined, you had, at that point, had already pledged and become a member of the semester before?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you consider him a friend
Yes.
to this day?
Yes.
Okay. Directing to your attention to the weekend of July 17th of last year through July 19th of last year. For context, the weekend that Chandler got in the collision that resulted in why we're here today. You remember that weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you, at some point, become aware of the defendant's desire to, well, back up. Do you know Case Aldridge?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he also a friend and fraternity member with you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know Rebecca Green?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know her?
She was Case's ex-girlfriend.
Okay. And at some point, did you become aware that the defendant had some desire to try to get them back together?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember exchanging messages with the defendant about that issue?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to coming here today, have you been shown a text interaction between you and the defendant about that issue?
Yes.
Okay. And assuming you're shown the same text thread, is the text thread you've been shown before, to your recollection, fair and accurate as to the interaction the two of you had?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
witness?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 1B. Take a minute, look over it, and let me know if this is the text interaction you had with the defendant on the 18th of July of last year.
Yeah, that's it.
And would it be accurate to say that those are essentially screenshots of a text interaction?
Yes.
Okay. And do they include kind of bubbles coming from each side?
Yes.
Okay. Could you indicate what color bubble is you talking, what color bubble is from the defendant?
The defendant is blue and I'm gray.
Okay. And because this is a succession of text over screenshots, is there some duplication, meaning a text shows up on one page, and then because it's, is there duplication on it?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Can I hand you, Mark, if you could, take a second. And if you could just mark through the duplication. So if it shows up on the first page and then also shows up on the second page, mark through a text that's a duplication on the second, and so on.
Like cross it out or just mark it?
Mark a line through the wording.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I guess now that you've marked through the duplications, if you were to read that interaction, would it be a fair and accurate representation of the text conversation you had with the defendant that day?
Yes.
Okay. If you could, read for the jury what was said between you and the defendant, and when you say each statement, if you could precede it by me when you're saying it and defendant when he is saying it.
Okay. Defendant, I want to hang with you in case wants to be with us, so I think we can pull something off. Me, I'm not planning on going out right now because I have a test on Monday, but if I get a lot done, I'll go out. Defendant, oh, come on, please. Me, we'll see, haha. Okay, dude, might want to abort your plan. Defendant, oh, should I ask what happened? Me, I was just talking to him, and out of nowhere, he said Chandler keeps trying to get me to hook. Actually, it cuts off right there, but
Okay.
I mean.
Do you remember what he
Yeah,
said
that's
next?
Chandler keeps trying to get me to hook up with Becca, and like, I'm like not happy about it or something.
Okay.
Something of that nature.
Okay.
Yep. And it is cut off. The defendant's response is cut off too.
Okay.
But my response is, yeah, scold him for texting her. He's not allowed to text her if he doesn't want to talk to her. He should delete her number or something. Defendant, I'm gonna light him up in a sec. He needs to stop telling us he hates her and then text her and shit. Me, do it in person, it'll be more effective. Defendant, I'll do it tonight. Me, okay, I'll help you out if I can. I just want it to go one way or the other, haha. Defendant, I don't care what happens. I just want Case to love me and them to either make or break for once and for all. I'm so done being in the middle. Me, yeah, I know. Is that too much to ask for? Defendant, fucking children. I hope he blows up on me. Me, like he wasn't that aggressive about it. It was almost a fleeting comment. Defendant, not surprising. We're getting them back together tonight. It's happening. It may blow up in smoke, but it'll be a sight to see. Me, okay, this is the last time we try though. Next time I hear about this, I'm gonna throw up.
Okay. And when you, at some point in the early part, say you may want to abort your plan, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, I mean, Case is a pretty stubborn person, and I knew he probably wasn't ever gonna want to get back together with Becca.
If I could-
yeah.
Assume we know less than you, which we, about this most assuredly we do.
Yeah.
What plan were you referring to?
Oh, like the defendant trying to get Case and Becca back together.
Okay. Your Honor, I would seek to move States 1B into evidence.
Hey, Judge,
No, sir.
move flag.
Did you end up hanging out with these friends that night?
Yes.
Okay. When did you first come in contact with the defendant?
I was in my room studying for the chemistry test I had that Monday, and he came in with Alex and Josh and some other people I can't remember, and we were just in there talking for a little.
Okay. What happened next?
After that, I believe I proceeded to go to Becca's apartment, and I don't know what the defendant did.
You don't know?
I don't know, no. Not immediately after, and then, do you want me to continue through the night? Or just step by
Okay,
step?
so you saw him at the fraternity house, and then independent of him, you went to Miss Green's apartment?
Yes,
Okay. Did you ever see the defendant at that apartment?
yes.
Okay. Did you talk to him?
I'm sure I did.
Do you remember if you all talked about the plan?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you see, did you consume any alcohol?
Yes,
Okay. Did you see the defendant consuming alcohol?
yes.
Okay. Do you remember what he was drinking?
When he was at the house, he had a 24-pack of Coors. And I believe when we were at Becca's, he had a 24-pack of Budweiser.
Okay. Did you see him drink from each of those things?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see him smoke any marijuana that night?
No.
Okay. Have you seen him smoke marijuana in the past?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you not in that scene, I guess?
Not really, no.
Okay. Anything else you recall having to do with the defendant at Rebecca Green's apartment?
Not really. I mean, we were just both there.
Okay. Where did you go after the pre-party?
I went to He's Not Here.
Okay. You didn't go to La Res in between,
No,
unlike some of the other folks?
right.
Okay. Did you ever end up seeing the defendant at He's Not Here?
Yeah, I saw him briefly.
Okay. Did you see him drink anything there?
I can't remember. I really wasn't with him.
You had no idea you'd be asked 14 months later about whether one of your friends was drinking at this bar that night?
Right.
Okay. Other than seeing him and passing it, he's not here, did you see him any more that night?
No.
And as far as the events that led to the defendant driving, is it fair to say you heard about all those secondhand, or did you see any of it yourself?
All secondhand.
Okay. Were you familiar as to whether the defendant had some kind of relationship with Marley Spence?
Yes.
Okay. Best of your recollection, when was that going on?
Maybe like January to May. That's my best guess. Or January to April or something. I don't know.
Okay.
During the spring semester before.
Okay. How would you describe the seriousness of their relationship?
I don't think it was that serious. It's not like they were a long-term relationship or anything.
Okay.
They were never anything official, I guess.
Did he talk to you at all about his desire to get back together with Marley?
Really through these texts was the most deliberate conversation we had ever had about it.
Okay. Well, he didn't, at least the text I had you read, I don't recall there being anything about Marley in there. Are you saying that there were other interactions where he did bring up the Marley part of this?
I believe in this in the wider conversation we were having,
Okay.
it might have been mentioned.
Okay. So he had mentioned his desire to get back with Marley in some way?
I think so. I think so.
Okay. Did he talk to you about his desire to date or hook up with other girls?
Well, like at the time?
Yeah, I'd say during the summer of 2015, do you remember talking to him about other girls he was interested in?
No. I mean, I was abroad in the first half of the summer, so.
Okay. No further questions on direct?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Lopez.
Good morning.
My name's Roger Smith. I'm one of the lawyers that represents Chandler. Sorry. What year are you and Chandler the same year?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys met freshman year.
Yes.
Were you all in the same pledge class, or did you pledge earlier than he did?
I pledged earlier. Yes.
You pledged fall, he pledged spring semester.
Yes.
When this happened, while we're here today, were you living in the SIGEP house then?
Yes.
You're still living in the SIGEP house?
Yes.
now? You've been going through the text up there, and I just want to sort of do some background on that. It sounds like from the text there that Rebecca Green, had sort of been on Chandler for some time about trying to get his help to get her and Case back together. I'm trying to get the background that leads to that. Is that fair?
Yep.
And I take it Chandler's trying to enlist your help in those texts. Help me get these two back together, right?
Right.
Do some of those texts reveal a frustration that at least Chandler had with Case? And what I mean by that is, Case and Rebecca were kind of on again, off again, on again, off again. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And it was obvious to Chandler, and perhaps to you, I don't know, but it was at least obvious to Chandler, Rebecca really liked Case, correct?
Yes.
Case didn't necessarily feel the same way about her.
Correct.
And Chandler was, is it fair to say, Chandler was disappointed in Case, in those texts, Chandler's like, I wish he would just leave her alone or get back together with her, but do one thing or the other, right?
Correct.
And so the plan, for lack of a better word, was he was just gonna tell him about it, man, either be with her or don't be with her, one way or the other. Is that kind of the context of these texts?
Yes.
Rebecca had enlisted Chandler Services sort of as matchmaker to try to get Case to be interested in her again, right?
Right.
Am I missing anything else in those texts?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. I want to go through the night here. But it sounds like you really didn't have too much interaction with Chandler on the Saturday night.
Right.
You were in your room at the fraternity house. You were studying for a chemistry exam, right?
Right.
Chandler came in your room with his friends from Ashboro, Alex and Josh.
Right.
And when he came in your room, was it just sort of, hey, these are my friends from Ashboro, just kind of introducing you guys?
Yeah, and then they sat down for a little bit and we like chatted. I can't remember for how long or anything, but.
Okay. Did you go to Becca's, I may have missed this, did you go to Rebecca Green's apartment at Shortbread with them, or did you go on your own?
I did not go with them. I can't remember exactly who I went with, but not with Chandler.
Do you know if you went before or after?
Before.
Before them. And at some point, they came, when they got to Rebecca Green's at Shortbread, when they got there, you were still there though, right?
Yes.
Did you see or notice what Chandler was drinking there?
I remember him and Josh and Alex all had a case of Budweiser.
Do you know if any shots were being taken there?
I can't remember.
At some point, you went to He's Not Here. Did you go with Chandler to He's Not Here, or did you go before?
I went before.
You remember seeing Chandler at He's Not Here, correct?
Yeah, briefly.
It sounds like you guys weren't really hanging out, and I think you said it was a brief interaction.
Yeah, he's not really. I just saw him. I don't even remember us talking. I was with some other people, and he was with his friends from Ashboro, so.
Okay. Marley Spence, you've been asked about Marley Spence. Chandler dated Marley, I think you put the time frame like January to April of the spring semester?
Yes.
And I believe you've said that it wasn't that serious of a relationship and it wasn't a long-term type thing?
I don't think so, from my recollection.
Yes, sir. You never saw Chandler this night, sorry, backing up. This night, you never saw Chandler again after He's Not Here, correct?
Correct.
How long were you at He's Not Here?
Probably from like 12 to 2 is my best guess.
Where did you go after He's Not Here?
I went back to the fraternity house.
Did you go straight there?
I believe so.
Do you know what time you got there?
Probably 2:15.
Did you walk there?
Yes.
How did you walk there? Just your route of travel. That was a bad question.
Usually we'd walk out if he's not, turn left on Franklin, right on Columbia, and right on Cameron. And it's a short, like 5-10 minute walk.
When you left He's Not, did you notice any kind of commotion and lots of police around everywhere, anything like that?
No.
Kind of just normal out there?
Yeah.
Do you recall if when you got to the Sig Ep house, if Chandler's Jeep was in the parking lot?
I have no idea.
But you think you would have gotten there about 2:15?
I mean, that's just based on,
Thereabouts.
yeah, that's based on like when we would normally leave a bar, because bars close at 2.
But you didn't go anywhere in between He's Not and the Sig Ep house? You went straight from He's Not to the Sig Ep house?
Yeah, that's my best guess.
Okay. And had you had, I haven't asked you how much you had to drink that night. I mean, about how much had you had to drink? Best guess, I know we're talking about over a year ago.
Yeah. I don't think I drank that much because since I had to get up and study the next day, I probably had a blue cup or two at He's Not, and maybe a couple beers at Becca's.
Okay. So you had your wits about you. You're not suffering from any kind of hazy memories from alcohol consumption or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't really know. It's a long time ago.
When you got back to the Sig Ep house, did you go inside the Sig Ep house?
Yes.
Did you stay up for a while, or did you go to bed?
I stayed up for a little bit.
Where were you in the house?
I was in my room.
Where's your room in the Sig Ep house?
It's on the second floor. If you walk up the stairs by the parking lot, it was the third door on the left.
And I've never been in the
Yeah.
Sig Ep house. Second floor, is it on the parking lot side?
Yes. Yeah, kind of.
Okay. At any point, did you hear any kind of a commotion in the parking lot?
No.
Did you hear any raised voices in the parking lot?
No.
Did you hear the screeching of tires in the parking lot?
No.
If you had heard something like that, you would have gone outside to check out what was going on, wouldn't you?
Probably.
Thanks, Mr. Lopez. No further questions.
Correct.
If you had looked out the window and seen the defendant getting in his car, you would have gone outside to do something about that too, right?
Yeah, we're pretty good friends. I probably would have tried to help him.
Okay. But you didn't know about all this happening until the next day?
Yeah, right.
No further on redirect?
Thank you, Robert.
No, sir, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, Jeff, him being released from this,
To him, he is free to go, but no, we would like to not release him on a subpoena this time.
thanks, bro. For the extra state.
Yes, Alexander Case Aldridge. Your Honor, may I retrieve States 1B and proffer to the clerk?
On the Bible where you were. You saw the first testimony that he was court of the truth and not left truth to come from God.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, please state your name for the record.
My name is Alexander Case Aldridge,
Could you spell that?
Alexander Casealdridge.
Okay. And do you go by your middle name, Case?
I do.
Tell us about yourself. What do you do?
I'm a student at UNC Chapel Hill.
Okay. What are you studying?
I'm a double major in political science and Spanish.
And do you know what do you have plans for after graduation?
I hope to go abroad for a couple of years and maybe teach in low-income communities in somewhere that speaks Spanish, maybe Argentina, and then hopefully go back and go to some sort of grad school.
Do you speak Spanish?
Pretty well.
How do you know the defendant?
Chandler was a member of my fraternity and a really good friend of mine.
Okay. Do you consider him a good friend today?
I do.
When did you first meet him? Roughly speaking, not the day.
In January, it was during the spring recruitment period of my fraternity, January of 2014. January 2014. Yes, sir.
Had you already pledged at that point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you pledged in the fall, and then he pledged in the spring. That's when you met him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How would you describe your friendship with him?
We weren't incredibly close at first, but slowly, especially during my sophomore year, we became closer, and we became best friends eventually. I talked to Chandler a lot, and we hung out a lot.
So, as of July of 2015, would you call him your best friend or a best friend?
I would call him one of my best friends, yes.
Do you know someone named Rebecca Green?
I do.
How do you know her?
Rebecca and I were dating on and off for a year and a half.
Okay. By your account, when would you say that ended?
In the spring of 2015.
And for a point of reference,
Excuse me, spring of 2016. Sorry about that. Spring of 2016.
okay. Let's provide a point of reference. July of 2015 is when the events that led us here today happened.
Yes, sir.
So, did you continue to date Rebecca after this happened?
No. I honestly don't. I don't think so. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't think so.
Okay. And I'm really not trying to mess you up.
I know.
Just since your relationship with Rebecca, would it be fair to say, had something to do with what happened the night of this incident, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, did you all get back together after Chandler got charged with all these crimes?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
No.
So, or you think it might be the spring of 2015 when it ended?
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
You're right.
All right. So, in the spring of 2015, were you in school at UNC Chapel Hill?
Was.
Okay. And then in the early part of the summer, did you do something unusual as far as your study?
Yes, sir. I studied abroad in Spain.
Not expecting exact dates, but generally from when to when?
June to July,
Okay.
or May to July.
Okay. And were you back in town prior to July 18th of 2015?
I was.
Okay. About how long had you been back in town at that point?
I believe I got back July 7th or 8th.
Okay.
I was not in Chapel Hill, though, until the 16th or 17th of July.
So the Thursday or Friday preceding this incident?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Chandler, at some point, convey to you, you ought to give Rebecca another chance at dating?
Yes, sir.
All right. If I were to show you a text interaction between you and the defendant about this issue, and you were able to read it, would you be able to tell us whether or not it's an accurate representation of an exchange you all had?
I would.
Okay. May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
Permission to approach.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 1C. Take your time, read it over, and when you're done, let me know if you would agree that this is a text interaction that you had with the defendant on July the 17th of 2015.
Yes, sir.
And is that something commonly referred to as a screenshot of a text thread?
It is.
Okay. What's a screenshot?
It's just a picture taken of exactly what is on your screen of your phone at the time, at whatever time you want.
Okay. If you know, can you tell from looking at that what type of device that's a text thread on?
An iPhone?
Okay. Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay. And so if you have an iPhone, how does someone take a screenshot?
You hit the home button and the lock button at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Does that interaction show kind of text bubbles coming from either side?
Yes.
If, could you indicate, just by saying at this point, what color is you and what color is the defendant?
The defendant is green and I am the light blue.
Okay. And because those are screenshots, is there some duplication from page to page? Meaning, is there a text that appears on page 1 that sort of reappears on page 2?
There is.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
I'm handing you a magic marker. take your time on this too. If you could, after you've read page 1, if there's duplication on page 2, draw a line through the text that's a duplication, and then so on. If there's something on page 2, mark out the duplication on page 3, and so on. Would you be willing to do that?
I am.
Okay. Okay.
Done.
So now that you marked through the duplications, does the text thread read clearly as far as a conversation between you and the defendant?
Sir.
Okay. May I approach the witness one more time, please? Okay. I'm going to hand you a pen. If you could, just for the first text representing each person, if you could, next to your first text, write the word case, and next to the defendant's first text, write the symbol delta for defendant. Okay. Sir, having said that this is an accurate representation of your text interaction, Your Honor, at this time, I would seek to move into evidence states Exhibit 1C.
No, sir.
For Madam Court Reporter, the text referred to on this screenshot is page 719 of Exhibit 1. Okay. If it would make you feel more comfortable, you can use abbreviations like F or something like that for curse words. If not, that's fine. But if you would, please read the text interaction on Exhibit 1C, and if you would, head each message from the person with who's saying it. For example, me, so on, defendant, so on.
Do you want me to just do the first page, or do you want me to do all 3 pages?
All 3 pages, please.
Me. Not really. Becca is already here. Fucking kill me. I just want to hang out with you. Chandler. Haha, come on, man. It can't be that bad. Hey, here's an idea. Maybe hear her out. Me. No, she has nothing to say that I haven't already hear. I meant heard instead of hear. Chandler. Well, Eddie came in. I wasn't her biggest fan when I met her, but recently she's been rather chill. Your call, but I'd say play it nice and say hi. Oh, but get fucked up with me and be ready. Oh, but get fucked up and be ready tomorrow with me. Me. I'm ready for you, Chan. Chandler. Give it a go with Beck for your boy. It can't go poorly. It can't go too poorly. Me, already tried. Chandler. 3rd time's a charm. Seriously, dude, I think you should give it a shot. Hey, might help me with Marley. LOL.
Thank you, sir. Yes, does your recollection differ from that being an interaction that would have been the Friday of the weekend this happened?
Yes.
As far as you know, that's when this happened.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when did you first come in contact with the defendant on the weekend in question?
It would have been the Saturday evening.
Okay. The 18th of July?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where were you when you made direct physical contact with him?
I was at my fraternity house.
Okay. Was he with anybody?
Yes, sir. He was with two of his friends, Josh and Alex.
Okay. Do you remember about what time you first came in contact with him?
8, somewhere around 8.
Okay. At that point, were you drinking alcohol?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you see him consume any other impairing substance while there at the fraternity house that night?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you see him consume marijuana at all that night?
No, sir.
Was marijuana smoking something that you all did together or not?
No, sir.
Okay. It's not something you do?
No, sir.
Okay. Were you aware about whether the defendant did do that?
Although I'd never done it with him before, I had heard that he does it. I couldn't speak definitively either way, though.
Okay. So it would be fair to say that because that wasn't your thing, it wasn't something you saw him do?
Correct.
Fine. Okay. So you saw him at the fraternity house around 8, and you say that you and he were both drinking, right?
Sir.
And other people were drinking?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much longer were you at the fraternity house that night?
I was there for pretty much the rest of the night until midnight when we actually went out.
Okay. To your knowledge, did the defendant leave the fraternity house before you?
Yes, sir.
Do you know where he went?
I believe he went to Rebecca Green's apartment.
And I understand you weren't there, but did you get some impression from his statements or others that that's where they were headed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why didn't you go there?
Because me and Becca were not on the best of terms, so I decided it would not be a good idea for me to go.
Right. In fact, the day before, you had joked about her showing up somewhere you were, and you said, effing kill me, because you weren't wild about being around her at that point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you left the fraternity house, where did you go?
We went to La Residence, the bar.
What do you call it?
La Res.
Is that fair to say that's what most of the people your age call it when you go, certainly when you go there as a bar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody in your cohort ever go there, its capacity as a fine dining restaurant during daytime hours?
I've been there once to eat with my parents, actually, but other than that, no.
Gotcha, okay. All right, so you went to La Res. Do you remember who you went with?
I believe I went with Austin and Joe,
Okay.
Connor.
Is that Austin Hampton?
Sir.
Okay. And Joe Lopez?
Sir.
And Connor
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick. Thank you. Okay. When you went to La Res, did you see the defendant there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And backing up a step, at this point, were you 21?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you have to use some kind of false identification to get into La Res?
Yes, sir.
Did you consume any alcohol when you were there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you see the defendant consume any alcohol there?
Yes, sir.
What did you see him consume?
I saw him with a drink in his hand, and I believe it was a gin and tonic.
Okay. Were you there when we've heard some testimony about a round of shots being bought. Were you there when that happened?
I was not there.
Okay. Did you interact with the defendant much while you were there, or did you?
I did. I did to a degree. I mean, he was hanging out with Josh and Alex more so than I was with, Joe and Austin and them. But yeah, we interacted some. We weren't like constantly together though, by any means.
Okay. Do you remember what you talked about?
Not really. sure I asked him how Becca's pregame went and stuff, but other than that, not.
Do you remember if Becca showed up at Low-Res?
I don't believe she did,
Okay.
but I cannot remember.
Fair enough. You don't remember seeing her there?
No, sir.
Okay. So then, roughly speaking, how long were you at Low-Res?
Probably an hour.
Okay. And after you left there, where did you go?
He's not here.
Okay. Backing up briefly, how did you get from Fraternity House to Low-Res?
I walked.
Okay. How did you get from Low-Res to He's Not Here?
I walked.
Okay. And would that be the same answer for all the people you were with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then when you got to He's Not Here, did you have to use a fake ID to get in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you consume alcohol there?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the defendant consume alcohol?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you see him with one of the He's Not Here blue cups in his hand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you interact with him there?
Yes, sir. I did.
Was there a band playing there that night?
I don't recall exactly. Possibly.
Okay. Do you remember what, if anything, you all interacted about when you were, at this point, we're just talking about at He's Not Here?
Rebecca's name definitely came up again, but other than that, I don't remember much about our conversations.
Okay. So let me clarify a couple things. Sorry, going back again. Did Rebecca's name come up when you all saw each other at the fraternity house?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't think so, short of him saying, I'm going to Becca's, do you want to come? And me saying no.
Okay. Do you remember if Rebecca's name came up when you were at Low-Res?
I believe so, in the capacity that he said, I just got, Becca's was fun, or something.
Okay.
It wasn't anything specific.
So at those two places, the issue of giving Beck another go for your boy didn't come up in those conversations?
As far as I remember, no.
Okay. When you were at He's Not Here, did that issue come up?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
I believe it did.
Okay. Did you stay at He's Not Here until closing?
Yes.
Okay. And were you basically with or around the defendant at the time that the bar closed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you leave there with him?
Yes, sir.
Who else was with you when you left there?
Alex, Josh, and I believe Joe. And I believe that was it, as far as people that were still there.
Okay. Do you remember if Ditz was there with you all?
Oh, yes, this was there. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. How firm are you on the recollection that Joe was with you all at this point?
I'm not.
Fair enough. Okay. Are you firm on your recollection that Ditz was with you at this point?
Yes, sir.
And Alex,
Yes, sir.
and Josh,
Yes, sir.
and the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell us what happened when this group of 5 walked out of He's Not Here.
We started walking back, and we were on Columbia Street, walking back towards the fraternity house, and Chandler and I got into a verbal altercation.
Okay, we'll come to that in a second. Let me back up on one point. Did something occur that kind of separated your group of 5 in some way prior to the argument between you and the defendant? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Yeah. Before we go forward, I'm going to ask you some kind of logistical questions just to help the jury understand where these places are, okay? If I were to show you a overhead Google Earth shot of the area that encompasses your fraternity, he's not here, shortbread, and La Res, do you feel comfortable that you'd be able to point to those things and show the jury where they are in relationship to each other?
Yes, sir.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 16. Take a minute to look at it, but do you feel comfortable saying what this is?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's a map of Chapel Hill,
Okay.
more or less.
Are there some points marked in yellow that indicate some of the locations you've talked about in your testimony today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you believe that you would be able to point out these locations in order to help illustrate to the jury the different places that you and your friends went that night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you feel comfortable stepping down from the witness stand briefly and doing exactly that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to ask the witness to step down?
Any objection?
Oh, no, sir, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Permission to retrieve the easel?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, permission to move about the Capitol.
You certainly may.
As the record to reflect that I have placed, sorry, Your Honor, State seeks to move State's Exhibit 16 into evidence for illustrative purposes.
Any objection?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Motion made.
As the record to reflect that I'm placing State's 16 on an easel in front of the jury. Nothing too complicated here, case, just if you could point out to the jury the location of your fraternity house on this map. And if you could point out, do you know where, even though you didn't go there that night, do you know where Shortbread Lofts is? And would you point out where he's not here? In La Residence. Do you know where the defendant was living at this time? Where was that? Mill Creek Apartment. Okay. Do you think you'd be able to point out where that is on this map? Thank you. Nothing further for this exhibit, you can retake. All right, so. All right, we were basically up to the point where you left He's Not Here and you said you had an argument with the defendant. I expect the jury will understand that this is something hard to remember because, would it be fair to say you've been drinking that night?
Sir.
And is it also fair to say because it's something that involves a close friend of yours getting into trouble that it's difficult for you to speak about on those terms too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is do your honest best to recall as many details as you can when I ask you about what's about to happen in your testimony, okay?
Sir.
Okay. When you say that you had an argument with the defendant, please recall with as much specificity as you can what was said between the two of you.
Chandler was just telling me to go hear Becca out, telling me that she is going to say something different from what I've heard from her before, and she's gonna, I should give her another chance, basically. And if I do give her another chance, Becca's gonna help, with Marley, and so I should at least go talk to her. And I got upset, and told him, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, stop, I know what you're doing. And I cannot remember exactly what was said between us, but there was some curse words flung around, and the only thing I remember specifically is that Chandler said something that I felt like wouldn't normally come out of his mouth, and it shocked me enough to where I just stopped walking, and I was stunned for a minute, and then I walked away because I don't know, I was just
Okay.
thrown off.
Do you remember telling investigators at some point that he said something that crossed the line?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so is that the thing that you can't remember specifically that surprised you and made you stop?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're sure, under oath, that you don't remember what that was he said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you agree that that moment ended up having a substantial effect on serious things that happened later that night?
Objection.
Same.
Okay. Did it have some effect on events that happened later that night?
Objection.
Okay. You said that you walked away from him at that point.
Sir.
Okay. And were you and the defendant separated to some degree from the rest of that group of 5 when you all were having this argument?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. You think they were right there with you?
More or less, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember saying anything to Aditya Shah, Ditz, when you walked away from the defendant at that moment?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you heard what Ditz says you said?
Objection.
I'd like to be. Have you? I asked. Have you heard what Ditz says that you said at that time? I'm not asking the substance at this point.
You may answer the question yes or
Okay.
No.
You've never heard what Ditz has said you said at that time?
When I was walking away?
Right.
No, sir.
You've never been asked by investigators, did you say X?
No.
You've never been asked by me, did you say X?
No.
Okay. Now, may we approach?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our morning recess at this point. During our morning recess period, it's the duty of each of you not to talk among yourselves about this case. Each of you not to talk to the parties, the witnesses, and the lawyers about anything at all. Further, you do not to talk to anyone else, to allow anyone else to talk with you, to say anything in your presence about this case. Anyone communicates with you in any way, that the sheriff will evaluate who comes in. Do independent research or investigation on your own about the issue touching on this trial, state witness Hart's under, and do not form or express an opinion about this case during this time. That, ladies and gentlemen, whatever else for may seated, I'm going to excuse the 13 of you and ask that you return and assemble in the jury room at 20 minutes after the hour of 11. If that's your excuse. Right, your flag here is after the quorum, you may ask your question.
Mr. Aldridge, are you sure that at no time you've not been asked, did you say the words, Chandler is so selfish?
Yes. Well-
Do you deny that you said those words that night?
No, I don't deny that. But I was so intoxicated, I don't doubt that it came out of my mouth. But
That's fair, and you understand that if I ask you, if the judge allows, and I ask you that question from the jury, you're going to be allowed to explain your answer to that question. But what I intend to ask you is, did you say Chandler is so selfish, which you shot after walking away from the yard? Would your answer to that be yes or no?
yes,
And with the understanding that you can explain your answer?
yes, sir.
That's fine, you would ask anything about it?
I do. Mr. Aldridge, good morning, sir. My name's Roger Smith. I'm one of the lawyers that represents Chandler. I don't believe you and I have ever spoken about this case, have we?
No, sir.
And pardon the pun on the case. We've never talked about this matter, right?
No, sir.
Okay. And we're outside the presence of the jury. I'm just going to ask about what Mr. Neiman's been asking you. Do you have any individual recollection of saying the words, Chandler is so selfish to this? Just what you remember.
Yes, sir.
You do remember saying, I'm just trying to be clear about it.
Yes, I honestly had no idea what he was getting at with the question.
Oh, okay.
So
I
I
understand.
was really,
Sorry, Your Honor. I understand now. I misunderstood the interaction. I got it.
And
Nothing further.
if I could say, I didn't.
We've done enough. We need recess that.
Courthouse session recess at 11.
Do I stay here or?
sir.
What? It's only for 20 minutes. Oh, sorry. You wanna go move my car over?